Hi, it's Kim Boon. A funny thing happened today. I was accused by one of our viewers of being a PAP political strategist, which is funny and frankly quite a compliment. I mean, I'm just a guy wearing a polo shirt in my pajamas pants, trying to make sense of Singapore's politics and news. So with that said, there's been some exciting developments in Sengkang GRC, where the PAP seem to have their tentative team together. So let's drill down to what's happening with this highly anticipated battleground.
People have called the Workers' Party PAP Lite or PAP-like. It's almost a position where whatever line or stand the PAP has taken, you basically use that as your reference point, then take a half step to the left.
So that reference to PAP-Lite was a common refrain during GE2020. This was first coined by Minister Vivian Balakrishnan in this debate with Mr. James Lim from the Workers' Party. And you know what? I don't think the term PAP-Lite has aged well. In fact, this PAP team that is likely to contest in Sengkang is probably going to have to explain how they are not WP-Lite. And we're going to get into all of that, but first let's get caught up with what happened in 2020. So at the time, Sengkang was a new GRC that combined Punggol East SMC with parts of the Sengkang West SMC and Pasir Ris Punggol GRC. So things were, for lack of a better word, bad. It had a vibe that screamed, if you build it, they will come. So BTOs were built, residents came, and there was nothing there. So there were no hawker centres, no decent shopping centre, the place was just underserved. And that did not make the incumbent PAP look good at all. And that was one of the reasons why the Workers' Party swooped in to win the second GRC ever for opposition party. So fast forward to 2025, being the challenger is going to be challenging. Because, well, I think SM Lee Hsien Loong actually said it best back in GE2020.
What they do, they take the PAP's plan, they say, very good, and here are a few holes, please patch the holes. Here are a few places where you can add more money, make it cheaper, do more, work harder. I also can. So, as Vivian said on the TV debate a few days ago, this is PAP Lite. But I tell you, why do you want to settle for PAP Lite? The real thing is much better.
So this PAP team has to be better than the incumbent. If they are the same or worse, then they risk being called WP Lite. And why would residents settle for WP Lite when the real thing is better? So let's talk through different aspects of both teams to make that decision. Let's play a quick game. So one team has an average age of 44 and has an associate professor, finance person, doctor, and an F&B business person. The other team averages 40 years old and has an associate professor, finance person, lawyer, and a social activist. Now, pause your video and think about which team is PAP and which is WP. I'm betting that took you a while to figure out. And credit has to go to the PAP. The selection of this current team is testament that they learned from their mistake in GE2020. At the time, they mysteriously decided to send an all-male team with a sitting minister and a minister of state, and the team averaged 54 years old, who are in an altogether different stage of life from many Sengkang residents. But this lineup today remains a problem for the PAP, because if your team looks the same, feels the same as the incumbent, aren't you just WP? So this brings us to a discussion on issues, things that the residents are concerned about and whether they are getting the support they need. So I got a couple of friends that stay in Sengkang, and their complaints are almost exactly the same. They hate the airplane noises, the LRT and traffic congestions suck, and there's not enough amenities. And a slight off-tangent question, how is the airplane noise solvable at all? So until the Paya Lebar Air Base is relocated in 2030, I don't really see how any party solves this problem in the next 5 years. But on the solvable issues, the Workers' Party have been known to have that personal touch. And I want to be upfront. These examples that I'm highlighting are anecdotal ones from my friends, hearing from feedback on forums, so I take them with a pinch of salt. But if enough people are saying it, I start to give them a bit more weight. So overall, the feedback that I gathered can be summarized like this. When residents need help, they can get help from the WP in a reasonable amount of time. Residents see WP MPs in common areas more frequently than they do PAP ones. There is also a general sentiment that the WP is consistently there for the residents, while PAP comes around once every 5 years. Now, the incumbent has an advantage because WP having won a GRC, they are expected to be present. And people will naturally go to them first because they are their MPs. So inherently, PAP branch chairpersons and their members have a disadvantage there. And who's to say that the PAP will not provide the same service level if they are governing? However, I'm going to talk about a chronology of events that credits and discredits PAP. So here goes. Let's start with a bad thing. So PAP basically changed out the entire GE2020 team with the exception of Dr. Lam Pin Min and reinforcing that belief that PAP only appears for elections. The good though, they brought in a new team in 2022 and appointed them as branch chairpersons across Sengkang. Now the bad again, one of these branches at Sengkang East changed chairperson 3 times and most recently in January this year. Again reinforcing the idea that PAP is not on the ground except during elections. And by the way, this is no fault of the newest chairperson, Ms. Bernadette Giam, who was put into this position outside of her control. Then there was the controversy associated with the person Ms. Giam replaced. So the former Sengkang East chairperson for PAP, Mr. Marcus Loh, rubbed many residents the wrong way. I think this picture speaks 1,000 words. So this was what Mr. Loh sent to a funeral of a Sengkang resident, and apparently this was not all. This banner was collected back by his team after the 5th day, presumably to be reused. So while there's no way of being definitively sure, the placeholder text in the banner suggests that this story was probably true. And that does not sit right with me, and I imagine many residents of Sengkang. So it turns out that WP's Miss He Ting-ru had attended the same funeral, and she gave the customary biting, spoke with the family of the deceased, and left a customized condolence blanket for them. So all of this without much fanfare. So the contrast is very jarring. And you can see why people might be more than a little irritated and angry even at the PAP. So that comes back to the question I keep revisiting. If people already think that you are just another WP, anecdotes like this start pushing people to think you are WP Lite.
The real thing is much better.
Okay, I don't just want to talk about the problem, let's talk about solutions. So what could PAP do to shake off the WP Lite monocle? So sending in a team that mirrors WP is not going to cut it. Spending time on the ground now is a little too late. So why not do something that is controllable? And this idea is going to be high risk, high return. Why not do a show of commitment by sending in a sitting minister to Sengkang GRC again? Let's look at the facts. It was a close call back in GE2020, and the 4% difference was due to a poorly maintained Sengkang and a strategic HR mistake. So these factors are now gone. So why is it not conceivable that another minister leads a team to make that win today? Or even a repeat with ex-minister Mr. Ng Chee Meng. That redemption arc eliminates naysayer that claim that PAP only cares during elections. A sitting minister with everything to lose, or an ex-minister with skin in the game, you can't tell me that PAP does not care. So that's what I think about Sengkang GRC. I'm sure many of you have thoughts of your own, and I look forward to hearing them in the comment section below. And until next time, this is your Red Dot Perspective.